we're just going to talk about games and movies and other stuff. As you see, I've got hastily written down here on a
Oh yeah, you have a little checklist of topics.
back of a Kroger receipt.
It says at the top games, and then movies.
Yes, recent and some other stuff. Anyway, okay, so games. What have you been playing?
I've been playing Batman, Arkham Origins, and Grand Theft Auto 5.
Okay, so Batman, you're a big fan of this Arkham series, yes?
Yeah, I grew up with the Batman animated series, cartoon, and animated series, and I don't know. I mean, they picked a bunch of voice actors from that to Kevin Conroy is back as Batman from that.
Okay.
Mark Hamill is back as the Joker, and the games heavily focus on the Joker, which is good and bad just because of how much Joker content there is already out there.
Mm-hmm.
But the writing in the games is just, in general, really, really good.
Right, more similar to the animated series you're saying as far as like characterization.
Right, but also more adult too. I mean, just because they're going for the teenage demographic versus going for the
Right.
like 8 to 10 demographic.
Well, it has more of a realistic look to the graphics in general.
Yeah,
Than,
yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I've seen you play some of those games, and the combat system seems pretty interesting. So is that exactly the same, or are there new things about that?
I mean, there are tweaks to it, but the mechanics are exactly the same. You punch or dodge or stun or jump over a person.
Right.
You can do most of the same things, though there are ways in which it is made smoother and some new abilities that you have moving forward to, spice things up. But it's very much an extension of the previous game. It's like $60 worth of bonus content.
Okay, so it's the same engine essentially as the previous ones. Right.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so let's go on to Grand Theft Auto 5. So tell me about this. I know everybody's been really excited about this game. I'm personally not a fan of the GTA series, but I would certainly like to hear your opinions on it.
Oh, it has one of the most surreal stories for a game that pushes. The presentation of it, is very realistic, but it's very mock realistic.
Right.
And just it lampoons everything about American society in such a hilarious way.
So it's a parody of that, of just American society and.
Yeah, and where our culture is right now, and the celebrity worship, and
right.
the social networking, and all of that. How you interact with your menu is through your cell phone, and your character can take selfies and videos and whatnot. And so it's funny because you'll get online and you can look at other people who are playing and watch their. Look at their selfies and all
okay,
that,
I see.
This,
So,
but it's all the same 3 characters.
Right. Oh, so that's interesting. So there's some like non-multiplayer based online integration. Oh, you're saying as the NPCs are, as far as seeing people online.
Oh, no. Well, you can see photos they've taken from their single player.
Oh, okay, I got
like
you.
browse their gallery book or whatever. Which is interesting.
Yeah, I think that is
that much of it, but
right. But again, I like that integration of online, not just for like within the single player realm.
Oh, absolutely.
I think that's interesting. Okay, so and then what games are you looking forward to?
Oh. See, that's a tough question to answer because they're like. We're in between
console transitions. Yeah.
And it's going to be a while before I get an Expo Zone, if that's ultimately what I wind up.
Okay, yeah. So this is Ian's super creative name for Xbox, Expo Zone. You say it as one word.
Right.
X
Expo
Z.
Zone. I feel more descriptive really than the Xbox One because. The Xbox One was the Xbox One. This is the Xbox.
Right. Of course.
Xbox was the Xbox One.
That's certainly a confusing name, but getting past confusing names. But even if the game will be on Xbox One, which you will eventually buy at some point in time.
Yeah.
What are you looking forward to as far as that goes?
I mean, Dead Rising looks cool.
This is the third one?
Yeah, third Dead Rising. The art scheme is sort of a darker, more realistic thing, but the tone is just as wonky as all the previous games.
Okay, right. So still the same, like you're grabbing items in the world, using them to smash up zombies and whatnot.
Yeah, and you can make super crazy, bizarre super weapons in it. Like,
okay.
There's a steamroller with flamethrowers. And
right. So is this combining things together, or okay, right?
So I don't know exactly how it works, but
did you play the first Dead Rising?
I played a little bit of it. It didn't grab me really. There are some problems with the mechanics. I think that it's a more Japanese game than I'm used to.
Okay.
Which probably acted as a barrier looking back.
Right.
But also, I think it just has some design problems.
As far as
the human enemies in that are insanely tough to kill.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've heard this mentioned before. Actually.
Yeah, you'll come to a human as a boss battle after wandering around, what feels like totally aimlessly.
Right.
Massive mall, like way huger, a mall the size of a small town.
Right.
Preposterously huge.
Right.
There is no way. Okay, I won't go on, but
no mall.
Right.
So
ever.
Yeah.
Anywhere. And you'll find the first one's this dude in a gun shop, I think, if I'm remembering right. Anyway, and you have to have the shootout with him, but you can empty clips on clips into his skull.
Right.
And he can kill you in 2 or 3 shots.
And he's not a zombie.
No, he's just some crazy dude who's fighting for resources. In these darkened days.
Right. Well, hey, you gotta when there's a zombie apocalypse, you gotta toughen up.
Yeah, that's
so,
what I always say.
Right.
How I try to live.
So you got to practice taking gunshots directly to the head and just brushing it off.
I go home every night and put a few into my skull and then I sleep it off.
Right. Okay. Well, so what about the third game is attracting you?
I mean, I'll have to wait and see what the reviews say because I'm not.
You're not diehard into the franchise or anything.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of the series that I'm into have put out a game this year or last year, because they knew it was the end of the Expo 360.
Nice. I understand.
So, Batman and Splinter Cell and Far Cry and have all had recent games. Though I haven't played Splinter Cell yet, but I heard it was really good.
And is that just Splinter Cell? It's got a
Blacklist.
Splinter
Cell Blacklist.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, so I've never played one of those. It's a tactical shooter.
It's third-person stealth.
Oh, okay.
So you've seen me play some Batman, and
right.
It's like a tactical shooter, but
right. So stay out of range of such and such.
Yeah,
right.
There's a whole lot of shimmying on pipes above enemies and taking them down silently. And
right. Okay, so now you're just asking me about my games.
Well, what are you playing, Phil?
What am I playing right now? Oh, I'm playing a couple of things. Yeah, I caught that comment. Let's see. I'm playing Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate on Wii U.
So this is better than Monster Hunter 3.
Try. To get it right, Monster Hunter try. Yeah, okay. Well, I'm not going to expect
Rambo
you to...
3.
Right. That makes as much sense. Yeah, so this is just an updated version of Try. It's got more content. Yeah, it's exactly what you were saying actually about the Batman Arkham game. It's the same engine with added content. Yeah, it's better. It's got more stuff. It's got some added things I like about it. You can voice chat with people, which you could not do that in Monster Hunter Try. You could only, text or type chat with people, which was super annoying. So you can do that with the mic on the Wii U gamepad, and what's nice about that is everybody who owns one of those has it, so everybody has a mic. Of course, then again, you're going to play with people that are annoying as well. But
That's life.
Yes, that's life. In real life and video game. But yeah, it's really fun. I mean, I've spent almost 500 hours in it. It's that type of game.
I'm an old man.
Yeah, I mean, it is like that. I actually have it. I downloaded it digitally on the console, so because I knew I would be spending massive amounts of time on it. So I go and play it for like a week or so and get re-addicted, and then get really bored with it and say I'm not going to play this for a while and go back to it. The other stuff I'm playing through all the Legend of Zelda games.
I see that. You have your N64 out right
Yes. Yeah, I've recently completed Ocarina of Time. So I'm playing the games in the order that the Hyrule Historia has the timeline set up.
Unfathomable.
Yeah, so I'm not going to go into that because it'd be too much to talk about. But so yeah, I played Skyward Sword, which I really like that game.
But it means playing them outside of the order in which they were made.
Right. They continuously do prequels in the series to the point to where it mixes everything up. Anyway, they recently put out
it's insane in membrane.
Yeah. It does a lot of things with your membrane. Anyway, the fan base is crazy about the history and timeline of the games. So they put out a book that has the timeline. So I'm playing through it. In the order of timeline, I played Skyward Sword. And then from there, I played actually Ocarina of Time. 2 other games come in between that, but they are only on handheld consoles. Can you actually play them? So a little aside, I was thinking, with the console games, like I'm playing them while someone else is watching me play. So we're like, oh, we're gonna play through all the Zelda games together. They help me or whatever. Right. But I can't play those games on the television. So it's impossible. It's not impossible, but it's like over the shoulder reading. Like it's just a weird situation. So I don't know. It's just something I think about. Kind of lame. But so then I beat Ocarina of Time, which
everything I think about is great all the time. So you should feel bad.
Yeah, I'll work on that. So I beat Ocarina of Time. That is widely considered one of the greatest games of all time. If you're a Zelda fan,
I hear that from just on greatest top 10 video games ever made.
Right.
A lot.
Oh, it's Metacritic gaming review scores super high or whatever. Anyway, it's a really good game. And I wasn't playing games in '98 when it came out, and I got a Nintendo 64 and Ocarina of Time, and it just totally blew me away.
No, wait, hold on. Why did you do air fingers for got?
There's no visuals for a reason. I'm not going to go into that, but
you fucking criminal.
Yeah, this is not something to be talked about upon podcast. But anyway, so it's a good game. I'm playing it on the 64 on an HD TV. So it looks really bad. Really bad. Like now looking at 64 games, it actually doesn't. Hard. It is. It actually is hard, and it's funny because I have some VC games that I downloaded that are 2D. A Mega Man game, Mega Man X for Super Nintendo, and it looks so good. And it's from like not 10 years, but like 5 or 6 years before that. And it's just the difference in the quality of graphics from beginning 3D to 2D is just, it's really hard to look at. So if I was playing it on a different setup, it'd be a different story, I think. But anyway, so I beat Ocarina of Time, and now the timeline splits into 3 different sections. So I'm actually playing 3 games, 1 level or dungeon or whatever at a time, all at one time. Not simultaneously, but this one, and this one. Yes.
And your past, present, and future.
Yeah, exactly. So playing Link to the Past for Super NES, which is widely heralded as one of the best games of all time also. Although it's my least favorite. It's a fine game.
Oh, I mean, look at you.
Yeah, the graphics are excellent. I just didn't play it when it came out.
Sure.
So I just don't have the nostalgia factor there. It's a really good game. Anyway, the other game I'm playing that's on one of the other branches of the timeline is Majora's Mask. Widely thought to be one of the best games of all time, but that's more dependent. It's got this interesting 3-day time system. I'm not going to go into that. It's too much explanation. But anyway, it's like sort of a darker tone for Zelda, and a side story, and a direct sequel to Ocarina of Time, actually, sort of. Anyway, but I have that on VC. Yeah, if you squint, it becomes right. But no, actually, this game is also a Nintendo 64 game. But it had this extra expansion pack, 64DD, I think it was called. I might be getting that wrong, or just the expansion pack. But you got an extra chip to put into your Nintendo 64, and it boosted the graphics for Majora's Mask and this other game, Perfect Dark, which is the sequel to GoldenEye 007 for 64, which is widely acclaimed to be one of the best games of all time. So, yeah, so anyway, these, I have it on VC from Wii, and it's the same generation with a little bit of a graphics boost, and it looks like really good. So the difference between it and Ocarina of Time, which are the same system, are like huge, the difference in graphics. But I think some of that is I'm playing on the 64 versus a newer system for the Majora's Mask, which is VC. And the other game I'm playing is Wind Waker. It's an excellent game. I've gone on and on about games too much now, but
God damn it.
Yeah, I know. Oh, the first cuss. I'll have to get a noise for that. Good job. Good job. I didn't say keep it kid friendly, so you can do whatever you want. Yeah, there you go. Get a couple more out of it. Yeah. Yeah, Wind Waker, it is a gorgeous game. It just got a remake, HD remake. So it's called Wind Waker HD remake, which I don't know, doesn't sound very Zelda-like to me. But anyway, it's got all new graphics on the Wii U, but I can't justify paying $60 for the same game with the ability to post on Miiverse. That's not worth the extra. Right? Yeah. Ian's making a shocked face. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I'm playing that, and this game did not need a graphics update. Like, it looks like $1 million. It looks like a cool mill. Straight up. Like, it really is a good looking game. It's not my favorite Zelda game either, but it's got a better art style than many games. Anyway, so yeah.
We're not fans of Halo.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Halo fan. I probably like the gameplay more than I like the art style.
No, I agree with that. It's a fine game. They put a lot of money into it. It's just got a really bland art style.
I agree with that. Yeah. I mean, the
general plot being Space Marines.
Right, and like also like it kind of looks like catcher gear from a baseball game, or like laser tag outfits. That's what the outfits look like to me, with a better helmet. But yeah,
motocross.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, motocross. Yeah. There you go. So, and the other games, recently played Pikmin 3, which I bought digitally, which was excellent. I'm not going to get into it, except for that they are releasing download content for like $2 for like 4 or 5 new levels, which is really awesome because I love the game, specifically these missions that they're adding the DLC for. So yeah, it's a great game. I missed the boat on that. I would get into it, but I have already beaten it for a while. And then the stuff I'm looking forward to, thanks for asking.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah. I think, this month, the 20s, somewhere in the 20s of this month, Super Mario 3D World is coming out. So I will probably not get this game right when it comes out due to money, but it's definitely gonna be like one of my favorite games of all time or whatever. Yeah, I mean, like it's just, I mean, I like the Mario series, so I pretty much like all the Mario games in general. But so this game is
what's the
like it's
for a non-Mario fan like myself? What is the delineation between Super Mario World?
Right. Okay. So
Super Mario Brothers.
Well, first off, this is a 3D game, so you know. All the stuff that go along with the 3D Mario. So this is following this studio, EAD Tokyo, who made the Mario Galaxy series, which is as widely heralded as one of the best games of all time. Anyway, so those games, Galaxy 1 and 2 for Wii, are super excellent games, like some of the best 3D platformers that exist.
We need an acronym for that, by the way. Widely heralded.
Yeah, it's going to be wattage. Okay, I'm not gonna the mad wattage on that. Right. Okay, so this game is different though. It's not like Galaxy. In Galaxy, the big draw was that you could actually walk around entire planets.
Yeah, I've seen you play some of that. It's really neat.
Yeah, so
design concepts.
Yeah, it's really artistically, it's awesome. I mean, like the art just makes itself because you're on planetoid. So wherever the camera is, it's showing you some awesome thing in space. What's really interesting about that design is that it's like there are no walls. It is everything that you're on is like workable land space or walking, jumping area, which is awesome. But anyway, so this one is not like that. It still has the same concept of there are no walls, but it's more like the platforms and levels are built in the air. So essentially, there's a like predetermined path that is based on these things that are in the air that you're walking on. So blocks or pipes or whatever that it would be. But the big draw about this is that it's the first 3D multiplayer Mario that exists.
Oh, okay.
Right, so Super Mario 64 for 64, Sunshine, and the two Galaxy games.
Yeah, that is a big deal.
Yeah, and well, that's why they don't call it the Mario Brothers series.
Okay, right.
So there's no brothers in that anywhere. So this it's the first time it's multiplayer, but it's 4-player simultaneous.
Okay.
So they're really going all out with the multiplayer aspect.
So 8 people can play on 2 consoles in the same game?
You can't hook 2 of them up together.
Okay.
Right. It's just so there will be a 5th player mode where the gamepad will be able to interact with the screen. Like you'll see what's on the TV screen also on the gamepad, and by touching you'll do various odds and ends. They could turn out awesome or just a fun extension, whatever. Sure. It's fine. I mean, adding that thing is fun and cool, or it could be completely awesome. It doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah.
But so the 4 players, it's not in the new Super Mario Brothers games, which are 2D games for DS and Wii and 3DS also, and also Wii U. You have multiplayer.
That's so many.
I know, it's a lot. It is. There's time to get into that someday to talk about that.
It's at least 3.
Yeah. That said, all those games are, if you're a platformer fan, they're making that top 10 be top 20 by just adding more and more games with just crazy, super good, precise controls. Anyway, so this game has, usually in the new Super Mario Brothers series, you can have 4 people playing at one time. It'll be Mario and Luigi, and then like a yellow Toad and a blue Toad. So people were complaining about this as to like the Toads are like sort of throwaway extra characters, as to where Mario and Luigi are actual characters, and Toad is too. But then when you just give him a palette swap for the color, it starts to be like any Toad in the Mushroom Kingdom. So Super Mario Brothers 2 for NES actually had 4 playable characters: Mario, Luigi, Princess, and Toad. So that's what people were wanting in the new Super Mario Brothers series, but that's what they're getting in this Super Mario 3D World game. So each of the different characters actually controls different. So like Toad runs the fastest, the Princess can float, Luigi has this special Luigi jump that he has. It's like higher and does different stuff. And then Mario's like faster than everybody but Toad. Yeah, he's like right in the middle of like perfect playability. So a couple other things about it. Yeah, exactly. Of course, I'm going to use the princess because it's magic.
Look at you challenge this gender role.
That's right. That's what I'm doing.
You're a dude.
Look,
when do dudes play girl video game characters?
Hey, you know. And I incessantly complained in Monster Hunter about males picking female characters. Right. But yeah, so Peach in this game is a playable character. So, like, for instance, she will get, yes, that is awesome. So she will get the Fire Flower power-up. And so for the first time in a Mario game, she will be Fire Peach. You know what I mean? Because Mario and Luigi always have it. But anyway, it doesn't matter to most people. I'm like, oh, Fire Peach. Yeah, so she gets, like, her hair's in a ponytail, and she's got a different outfit and stuff. Yeah, so I'm pumped about that. But that's right. But the other... I
didn't swear.
Yeah, hey, that was great. I don't know which is worse. I'm gonna bleep it all out. So,
Holy vagina.
Yeah, there you go. a big vagina.
Right.
So you don't feel like the
no,
only person
just left to the history to decide what we were saying.
That's right. And the other thing about this game is that the new power-ups. So the first thing that they show off in the trailers of this is you hit a block and a bell comes out, and you get it and you turn into Cat Mario. So
right, you were talking about this earlier.
Right.
Yeah,
so
the
suit. So I mean, this is what Mario is really all about. Like weird suits and different things they can do. So the cat suit looks like
the
really
helicopter
good.
Suit
The propeller hat, the propeller suit, so that's a really fun suit. But in 3D, they have to give it more moves, I guess.
Right,
like they have to make it.
What works in one doesn't work in the other.
Right. I mean, they can give you something that just makes you do a float jump, but in 3D, there's more space to interact with, whatever.
Right.
So
sound so dismissive of that third dimension. Whatever.
Well, it's there, but a lot of times you're just looking at it. You're not interacting with it. Okay. So we can go on and on about that. Anyway, so the cat suit has you can run faster, like on all fours with the cat suit. You can jump in the air and do a little dive maneuver, which you then roll out of and do a scratch move, and then you've just got a basic like scratching attack move, and then you also can climb up walls with the claws. Right. So that opens up a lot of cool platforming.
Spider-Man
exactly.
Does whatever a cat does.
Catman does whatever a cat does. Right.
It's hard to do the rhythm.
I think it rings better. I think there's a future in that IP.
Spins web.
So all the fans are pumped about. So I mean, not Fire Peach, but Cat Peach. Hey,
Sure. Yeah.
But also it has raccoon suits. All those suits seem to be returning, including, I hear, the frog suit from Super Mario Brothers 3. So that's a big deal.
Now, what does a raccoon suit do? I'm assuming a frog suit jumps.
Right. You can, and swimming would be better with the frog suit as well.
So he can like wash things with his hands.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You can blow bubbles with your throat. Okay. We're getting off so many
bees.
Mario
can get bees. Watch out, kids.
No, so the raccoon suit gives you a raccoon tail, or rather, you get a leaf of fall color persuasion, and it gives you a raccoon tail, which allows you to do a spin move to hit enemies with the raccoon tail. And when you jump and you're falling down, you can repeatedly hit whatever button to spin the tail to make your descent slower. And then also, if you get a running start, you can jump and actually fly with it. So it's like the best power-up from a Mario game, essentially. So it should have always remained in every Mario game. So they have to make something better each time. But anyway, so that's returning. And then also all these different block hats. So you'll hit like... you'll hit a block from underneath, and then it's a hat. So like that propeller suit we were talking about, there's a propeller block that you hit it, and so it's like actually kind of better than a power-up, because it allows you to take a hit. You'd lose the block power-up if you got hit, but you can take a hit without dying. But also you get the power-up from that thing, and you can be whatever power-up you actually have. So you could be Fire Mario with the block hat on of multiple things. One is like they have the blocks where you hit them and get 10 coins if you repeatedly hit the block. Well, if you get all 10 of them, you hit the block, and then you have like a gold blockhead of Mario, and as you're running, it's like racking up coins and stuff. So they showed off a lot more, a cannon block hat, and you're like holding a fire flower out in front of you and it's spitting fire and stuff. Anyway, so that's going to be a great game. That's really basically what I'm looking forward to. Okay, so that ends our game stuff, which went really long. Awesome. Okay, so...
so many games.
It's a lot of games. Okay, so movies.
Movies.
We're on to our next.
Movies.
Yeah, so you're going to have more to say here than I am. But, so why don't you start with...
what I've seen?
Yeah,
what
I
go that route first? Last thing I saw was Thor The Dark World.
Okay, so this is the second in the Thor series.
Yeah, and it's the first non-Iron Man single-character sequel. It's a lot of qualifiers.
Okay, yes.
We've seen in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is right now Iron Man and Thor and Hulk and Captain America.
Right,
that,
okay.
Tie into the Avengers.
Right.
And it's really good. They underwrite the villain, and there's a whole lot of Star Wars in it, which I'm not crazy about.
Now, when you say a whole lot of Star Wars, you mean
I mean, there's a lot of invading forces marching in with laser guns and shooting people, and there's spaceships, and they're dark-colored, kind of like TIE fighters. And,
so,
they don't really look like TIE fighters, but...
Does this fit within the, does that fit within the mythos of, like, the Thor comic?
I'm told that it does.
So you don't follow Thor, the comic, necessarily?
I follow Thor now, but I haven't gone back and, read the 50-plus years of canon, And my friend Trey, who I went to see the movie with, who is a huge Thor nut, he says that in the 80s, that's a big part of what the character was and what he dealt with.
Star Cruiser kind of
right,
stuff,
but like, for instance, Asgard has like laser turrets in it, which is not the first thing you think of when you think, like the heaven, if you will, of Norse mythology.
And Tourette's is a bad disease as it is, so if you add lasers to that, I'm sorry. Okay, don't contract laser Tourette's.
Okay. Right.
Sorry, continue.
You just swear and lasers come out of your mouth.
That's right. At light speed. That's right.
It's awful.
It's like a penetrating sound at that point.
Right. Yeah.
But, okay, so continue.
But those are my complaints about it, and other than that, I loved it.
Okay.
Thor has this awesome line between being super badass and then being super boisterous and goofy at the same time. And Chris Hemsworth, who plays Thor, does a really good job of portraying that.
And this is the same guy from the previous Thor and the Avengers movie. Okay. So special effects better than the previous, on the same level.
On the same level,
because they're more recent to each other, so I guess you're not going to see as much. Right.
But there's more done with them. There's a whole lot more special effects. Like, this is so much bigger in scope than Thor was.
Okay.
Thor mostly just takes place in Asgard and this one small town in New Mexico. And this, we see locations from across all the 9 realms in Norse Thor
so they're
mythology.
Showing a larger scope.
And there's a whole huge display of mythological creatures. Like
monsters and whatnot.
There's like a big rock dude at one point, and who has a name in the comics that is escaping me, and just a ton of characters that are all in Thor comics that are presented here, and for the most part, presented very well, and the acting's really good. It's really solid and entertaining across the board.
Excellent. Okay, but you're a superhero fan. Of movies,
That's
superhero
true.
movies.
I mean, I'm a comic book nerd, certainly.
Right. I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
I self-identify.
You're a comic book genius. That doesn't make you feel better, does it?
I feel like I'd have to make them in order to
still feel nerdy somehow with the title. Don't know quite why. Okay, so are there plans to continue that movie series?
We don't know. I mean, we know Thor will be in the Avengers 2, which is filming or about to film, and presumably, I mean, he's signed on for 6 movies, I think, which would presumably be 3 Thor movies and 3 Avengers movies.
I see.
But as far as what comes after Avengers 2 in 2015, we don't know what that is.
Right.
And
so
supposedly they're prepping like new franchises for that as well.
And so I heard that it broke, like they were like taking Casablanca off the shelves because of how well that Thor 2 did in the
Thor 2 has made more money than Titanic and Avatar
like they
put
bought,
together and tripled.
Right, because like Thor bought the Disney Corporation.
Yeah.
Based on this,
Well, Thor actually bought South America. And
that's right.
He goes there because of the weather.
It's close to New Mexico. That's why.
It's right beneath
it's right there. Right.
They just go south a bit.
Right. And all of South America was cheaper than to actually pay for New Mexico itself. That's why they
Yes.
Okay, so
Continental Disc.
Another movie.
Our continent's cheap. What did I see before that?
You want me to answer that? Or?
Please, tell me. I saw Insidious 2, recently.
And you're gonna have to really help me out with that.
It's the sequel, if you will, to Insidious.
Okay.
Which is a haunted house movie.
Oh, okay, okay.
And actually, that creative team that makes the Insidious movies, they're the people who did the first Saw movie, but none of the sequels, and they did Insidious, and then in between Insidious and Insidious 2, they did. That's a writer-director team. That's
okay.
Here. This movie called The Conjuring, which is also a haunted house movie, also starring the main character from Insidious.
Ah, okay. That's a little strange.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of very similar content, but it's all really good, in my opinion.
Right.
I mean, a lot of people don't like Insidious because the third act gets kind of crazy and throws a lot of bizarre ideas at you, but, I mean, I love that stuff. I love movies taking risks in tone that can push people away, and often do.
Well, I guess if it's polarizing to some degree, it's doing something. Yeah.
And The Conjuring doesn't take a lot of those risks. It's more of a straight horror
flick.
Yeah.
Right.
Though it is really fun, it's just less flamboyant.
I see. Right.
Whereas,
so essentially, you know what's going to happen because it's so.
Yeah, and it's got more of a. I mean, you know, it says it was based on a true story. I don't know what that amounts to.
Or if that's true or not.
Right. You know, I never know what to think of that, but it says it is, so it's got that sort of Amityville
I got you.
added element. And it takes place in the 70s, so again, to that end.
Right.
But, I mean, the Insidious movies are, you know, they have... There's the main evil ghost is like a cross-dressing ghost, and you know they're bizarre.
I'm raising one eyebrow
that are really neat.
Oh, okay,
I think.
Right, a little more interesting.
Yeah. And or just bring an interesting flair to the haunted house genre.
Right. Okay, so stuff you're looking forward to.
Biggest thing I'm looking forward to, Wow, okay, on the Marvel note, Captain America 2 and Guardians of the Galaxy come out next year.
So, Guardians of the Galaxy, tell me about this.
Yeah, that's their riskiest movie so far, but what's probably going to be one of the best.
Risky in the sense that just the IP itself is kind of risky.
The characters are not, you know, the most well-known characters. I mean, this Guardians of the Galaxy is a team that's been around for a while, but it's always, you know, shifted out people pretty regularly.
And like, who are some of these people? Because I mean,
Rocket Raccoon.
Okay,
for instance,
okay,
and Groot, the Tree Man.
Okay, so these are
the Tree Man is not his name, but
that's what he is. Right. You know, he's got tree parts. You know?
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so these are more outlandish character designs than whateverman.
Right. I mean, genetic raccoon experiment.
Right. So that's strange, and they're making a movie based on that as well, or this is what. Because I was hearing something about Rocket Raccoon.
Oh, well, he's a member of the team
in
Guardians of the Galaxy, which, I mean, he'll be CGI, I guess.
Okay, yeah, that's how it's
probably not going to get a live raccoon.
Yeah, right. Well, you know, with
and
science...
then they just subtitle all this
stuff. With science these days, and pharmaceuticals being so, you know... Yeah.
Take the raccoon pill.
So when is that supposed to... Is that in production now, or...?
It just wrapped filming, so they'll be doing post work on it, like CGI and special effects and shit.
Okay, cool.
And that comes out in July.
And then the other one that you were saying was
Captain America 2.
Captain America 2. Okay, so this, like Thor, is now going to have another sequel. Yes. Okay, I didn't mean that with any.
No.
Thor. Right. So Captain America 2. Game of the Shield, Game of Shadows.
Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier, Order of the Shield, Game of Shadows. Fallout. Fallout again. Right, exactly. Okay, so tell me about
Glory
this. Days. Obviously, the main superhero will be Batman.
Yes, Batman will star as
Captain America.
And... You know, in the first Captain America movie, Batman was in the 1940s fighting the Red Skull.
Right.
And then at the end he gets frozen in time and wakes up in the Avengers with Superman.
He's like,
and
I'm cold, where's Alfred?
And everyone loves that line in the Avengers where Superman smashes Loki and calls him a puny god.
That's right. Yeah, well,
Clark Kent.
It's good to have your canon set straight.
Right.
So you know, like, you wouldn't want the X-Men without Superman. You know, that team wouldn't work as well. Okay, so so tell me, who is Red Skull going to be the main?
No, Red Skull's probably out of the picture because Hugo Weaving, who portrayed the Red Skull, isn't interested in coming back. Which I really love Hugo Weaving as an actor. He played V in V for Vendetta.
Okay, right.
And then Agent
so he's got
Smith
a really
in The
distinct
Matrix.
face. Okay, yeah.
He has a great voice. That's what he's got. But so the plot line they're doing is about Bucky, who's Captain America's sidekick in the first movie, who dies in the first movie in theory, but you know, if you read the comics and go, oh, he comes back as a Winter Soldier, he's a bad guy, but then he turns around at the end. So that's the deal.
So, but he is not Captain America, obviously. This Bucky.
No,
person.
Bucky is he's an ally from World War II who gets presumably, killed in action, and then somehow frozen in time, and then brainwashed by, in the comics, it's Russians because it was during the Cold War, so that'll be different now, I guess. But comes back and tries to kill Captain America.
Okay, I see. So
and then eventually turns over to
because then he'll be like, no, this is my best friend. Like that will be so hard for him.
Exactly.
And that would be so difficult. That would be difficult.
That's never been used in fiction before.
When you said that was the first thing that I thought from other things that
I'm making fun of it, but I really want
to
see it.
No. That's of course. Okay, so
and they've had some more Captain American thoughts.
Please.
Oh, right. The Infinity Gems, which is an interesting thing.
So this was in a 2D fighting game that I played. Marvel versus Marvel Superheroes. Marvel Superheroes.
Yeah, Marvel
I think
Superheroes.
It was. Right. So and
it had a bunch of characters from Marvel versus, or the characters that ultimately wound up being the Marvel versus Capcom characters, I guess.
Yeah, and the super famous Marvel versus Capcom 2, of course. So like you would fight, and these gems would pop out. I actually really liked this system because like all of a sudden you get like speed up or attack up, like all these things that like not RPG elements, but like they didn't exist in other fighting games that sort of like you could be really good, but then you'd have to tangle.
Boosts,
exactly, which I actually really liked, but I think actually a lot of people didn't enjoy that maybe as much as
instability.
Well, because it was cool. That's probably one of the
people hate cool things. I mean, there's certainly an argument to be made for that.
I mean, I know cool stuff sucks as much as anybody, but I want it in all my stuff, if possible. Okay, so the Infinity Gems. Go ahead. Sidetrack you there.
Okay. They introduce them they tease them in the Avengers because they tease Thanos at the end of Avengers.
Yeah, I remember.
His most famous plot line is the Infinity Gauntlet, which is where you gather all of the Infinity Gems into one gauntlet.
That was the plot, in quotations, of the Marvel Superheroes fighting game also.
And you can master reality or some such stuff. I mean,
and what would you want with that kind of ability? I don't know.
It's hard to say, really.
He probably really wants his own family.
That's what it is. Thanos is sitting there thinking, I want a couple of little Thanos slings running around.
Thanos and Manos and
multi-clefted chins.
That's right. To be scholars, to do something different than what he did.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so they're making a movie based on this, or this is based on Captain? You were saying something about Captain.
This is all based on speculation.
At
the moment, though, I mean, we do know they're building the Infinity Gems thing because the cosmic cube that's in the Avengers and in Captain America is an Infinity Gem in the movies.
Oh, okay, I got you.
As is the weapon the evil guy is after in Thor 2.
Okay, so in all these specific series outside of each other, they're addressing this like in the different superhero movies outside of it. So that's really interesting. I think like it just I don't know. I like that they all have some tie into each other. It seems like much a larger universe.
You don't have to watch them all if you don't want
to. Right,
like,
they're standalone.
Just watch the Iron Man stuff or just the Thor stuff or whatever. But I don't know why you'd want to because there's more content and it's all worth watching.
Right. You
know,
exactly.
I mean, Iron Man 2 sucks, but I still like it.
So is this the one with the laser whips that I saw?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, look, if it's got laser whip, you know it's
right.
Right.
Men in robot suits fighting with laser whips.
Right. I mean, like, I don't see how you can't abandon all canon for the awesomeness of a laser whip. I don't see what's wrong with that. Okay, so yeah, I love hearing about what you hate about. That's someone will be made better for that.
Yeah. It's the plot in Iron Man 2. Like Tony Stark just has all the same problems that he had in the first movie, and therefore didn't learn anything from his lessons in the first movie.
Right.
Which it took an entire movie to get to. And
And I thought that goes with his character, you know, like he's just a smart ass.
You can make that argument,
but I don't buy it. You can certainly make it.
I mean, you know, it's just what works for the medium you're telling, and it's more frustrating in film to experience that than in comic books, a more serialized format than when you're just getting it all at once.
Right. Well, I mean, I think like, I mean, we were talking about this a little bit earlier, but I think that's an issue with. I mean, you see that with video games as well.
Sure.
You know, it's like
time constraints.
Of certain things that have to be, and production cycles too.
Right.
That, like,
resource constraints.
Yeah, and I mean, you don't see that when you're not involved in that process. I'm everything that you complain about as as someone who's viewing the content, like you're not seeing that those people probably thought a whole lot about, oh, I can't do this thing that they were sure they were going to be able to get in, you know. Yeah, I mean, whatever. It's something to think about. Okay, my turn.
No, not yet.
Oh, okay. Please continue. Yeah, no, I mean, this is your segment, so yeah.
So my theory, all of the reality gems have their own thing going on. We don't know specifically which is what yet, but there is a time gem, and my theory is that that will be somehow involved in Captain America 2, in bringing Bucky into the present.
I see.
Because you know, Captain America was frozen in ice, and we don't know how Bucky's back as the Winter Soldier, and what the mechanism was for him being alive and youthful in our present day.
Okay, so is this something that like the internet fandom and comic book fandom are like all talking about? Is this just like a personal Ian Gray theory?
I mean, it's between me and this other friend. My friend.
Oh,
Trey.
Okay, right.
Like, so we were talking about it, and we both agree that that sounds totally plausible for what they're doing.
Well, when you see it and you're wrong, you can come complain about it.
No, I'll just hate it if I'm wrong.
Right. It'll be one of the other gems again.
Oh no.
Right. Okay, so more movie stuff. Anything else?
New
stuff interested in thinking about?
Stuff. I mean, Batman versus Superman hopefully be pretty cool with Ben Affleck.
Oh, okay. So so wait, Ben Affleck this is for a Batman versus Superman, not just a standalone.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that's a little different.
Yeah, they're doing a direct sequel to Man of Steel, the most recent Superman movie, but where the antagonist is Batman. I mean, antagonist loosely. I'm sure they're
not gonna like make him be. Yeah.
I mean, the idea is
he's
to build
chilling
up
with
the
Joker
Justice League,
and
you know?
right. Lex Luthor and Joker and him are chilling out.
Right, and so probably they'll have. There are rumors about Wonder Woman being in the movie and stuff like that, and then probably Lex Luthor will be involved because it's a sequel to a Superman movie.
Right.
Maybe first and foremost, but also is supposed to, really focus on building a larger DC universe.
I see. Okay, so similar to what Marvel is sort of already kind of doing essentially with their movies. Because I mean, I guess it's different.
And the difference is that Marvel is a studio devoted to bringing their characters to the big screen, whereas DC is owned by Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers has just their general Warner Brother movies guys on DC properties.
Okay, I got you. Right.
So, like, Zack Snyder, he does tons of... he did Superman, and he does tons of comic book adaptations for Warner Brothers. Like 300 and Watchmen, both comic book adaptations.
Right.
And now he's doing this. I mean, which is fine. I'm not... They make fewer things, but I mean, if we're only going by the DC properties that have been made recently, they're better on aggregate than the Marvel stuff.
Okay. Interesting.
And that's because Christopher Nolan directed 3 of them.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So
it's not the same thing.
Yeah. That's.
But
I mean, it's fair comparison because it's comparing what's there. But yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
And I mean, those are not in any way trying to build to something more than just being that one trilogy.
Right.
Which now they are trying to do.
Right.
Because of the success Marvel had.
So, Batman versus Superman.
Mm-hmm.
So, just to add more flavor, like, I don't get that. Like,
I mean, it's the ultimate comic book rivalry.
To me, it's like black hole versus peanut butter sandwich.
No, I understand.
Like, I mean, I like Batman. I was a big fan of the animated series, and I'm not even a fan of Batman. Like, I see the appeal to him, and like the Arkham games.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm basing them, judging them on gameplay, not cool factor. But I mean, I like that just fine. But yeah, I mean, a peanut butter sandwich cannot beat a black hole. It's just impossible.
And like, when and or if you see Man of Steel, you're gonna keep scratching your head because they do not tone Superman's powers down at all.
Right.
So that like just makes me more excited for it.
Oh,
really,
so
because they're gonna have to make Batman so awesome
to keep up with that.
Yeah.
And obviously they're gonna know about like people being worried if they're gonna tone Superman down based on that. So hopefully that's a thought in their mind entering that. Okay, well that sounds really interesting. So I wonder how that'll do. Like,
it's gonna do really well.
Well, because it's their biggest properties, DC.
Exactly.
Right.
And I mean, everyone's gonna want to know how Ben Affleck's doing as Batman, especially after the Christopher Nolan stuff.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, Man of Steel made a ton of money. It's a sequel to that, and it's a superhero team up, which
a crossover, which is right.
Really
and
in vogue right now.
I think we were talking about this.
It's a perfect storm.
It's a perfect storm. No storm is absolutely perfect. You could always throw something better.
Room for improvement.
Right. Like free money just flying around in the storm. That's how automatically I've made it better. Automatically. Okay, so we were talking about this a little bit.
Yes.
Crossovers. No, a long time ago when we were working together, we were talking about
back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day of a year ago. So like. The crossovers, just how much you're seeing that. Of course, in comics, that has existed for so long.
Yeah.
Versus movies, and so it's happening. It's interesting that we were talking about Marvel versus Capcom because, like, I feel like the comics in some way are like responsible for that happening to video games, and it's going to happen more through movies as well, because they started making the Marvel versus fighting games, you know, not just the versus series, but like Marvel superheroes, like we were talking about. And the first one they made was Children of the Atom, so that's X-Men, so you know, Cyclops, Wolverine, and all that. And so like they got to this point where they had done all the properties that would have enough characters that they'd like done every character people would know. And so they're like, oh, well, what if we did like X-Men versus Street Fighter? And so they made X-Men versus Street Fighter, and you know, like for a lot of people, that's like a wet dream. You know, like, oh my gosh, Gambit versus whoever. You know,
Street Fighter.
I was about to say Wolverine. It's like already got that much. Yeah. Your answer was Street Fighter, right. Gambit versus Ryu or Gala, I don't know. Anyway, so. And so then they started, you know, because arcades were still around, were like a big deal at this time. And then, like, I remember seeing Marvel versus Capcom. Like, they had just gotten in, it's like one of the big machines in the arcade. And that just blew my mind, like, I was wrapping my mind around them using their name in the game like that, you know, and I saw, I was like, oh, so it's like all kinds of different Capcom characters, and now, you know, so they had this huge crossover where like characters that would never be, like, they had Mega Man in the game, for instance, and that was just like, now it's like Mega Man's in a lot of games, it's not a big deal, but like
Nintendo's using him,
right? For like he's gonna be in Smash Brothers 4,
Smash Brothers.
yeah, exactly, which is long overdue. Anyway, but yeah, I mean that's another example also of like even within themselves, Nintendo is like seeing that crossover fighting game thing and thinking like how interesting it would be to, you know, I mean people want to have the Mario versus Link battle beyond other stuff like, you know, Sonic is in some of the in Brawl, so you could, Mario versus Sonic, that's been needing to happen.
Charizard.
Right. Well, yeah, Pokemon for instance, you got to show how awesome your Charizard is. I mean, you trained him up so good, you got all his moves on there.
Speaking of which, quick aside, why isn't there a Pokemon fighting game? That would be so great. I'm making the awesomest faces that would make so much sense to what you're saying. Pokemon fighting game. Okay, so I mean, how deep the potential roster is
even with 4 moves, Smash Brothers has 4 special moves for characters anyway, you know, or give them the world moves, HMs or whatever, the ones that do stuff as 4 regular moves and then 4 special moves that you could select between a whole list before the match, you know, this is what I want. The answer to that is not that Nintendo doesn't like money. The answer to that probably is closer to, okay, so Nintendo makes the mainline Pokemon games, which, keep in mind, they always have in production. Like, there is, like, I bet those people don't get 1 week off after Pokemon Black to make Pokemon Black 2 or whatever.
Well, I mean, they're Japanese.
Well, I mean, that's true, though. Their working schedule is different. They hate their job, so they stay there all the time. It's where we just hate our job and then leave it and hate it at home by ourselves and don't, you know, we at least go home and hate the shit that we don't like. But yeah, so like
I hate the shit I don't like.
Right, I eat pizza while I do it at least. So the answer lies in, they make the main Pokemon games and then they make all these spin-off games, okay, that are like, okay, I can really quickly say a bunch of trashy spin-off games. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, which is like a dungeon crawler. It's a top-down.
That was the first thing I thought of.
Right,
actually.
Right. And so, I mean, like, if you don't know anything about Pokemon, you're gonna think every Pokemon game is the same. Those Mystery Dungeons are like a completely different style of game. They're not the. I've played them. It's not the worst thing that exists. Imagine Party Babies, the game. There's literally a. Okay, so glad in the first episode I get this in. There's a game for Wii called Imagine Party Babies. Okay, and the cover. I mean, I saw the cover and it's like 3 little babies, 2 of them sitting, 1 of them standing, and they have birthday hats and there's confetti, and I'm just like, what is this game? And then it's Imagine, which is a series. Imagine, colon, Party Babies. So yeah, anyway, that's probably the worst game that exists.
You haven't played it, man.
Yeah, I haven't played it.
So one of these days I'll like come over.
Well, really witty thing also that I haven't done that's super dangerous and that I won't try. Retort to you now. Okay, so anyway, they make a bunch of other Pokemon stuff. Yeah, that would get you absolutely to 0. So they make a bunch of other Pokemon spin-offs games. There's one called Pokemon Battle Smash or something like that. The point is, they make a whole bunch of right. They make they make a whole bunch of different spin-off games that are made to just cash in on the property. Basically, they're not the worst things that exist, but like, I think if kids who like Pokemon, who are like, this is really fun, and they also play these other games, as they get older, they'll be like,
Right, I mean, like, you and I will still play Pokemon games, but we're not going to play the side games.
Exactly. Because they cost money. And that's not, I guess I'm saying that's not even close to worth the money that you're paying for it. But but the Pokemon games are really good RPGs. I mean, it depends on what you like, obviously.
I mean, friend Cameron has the X.
Oh, so
or
okay,
Y,
okay.
one of the two, and it looks awesome.
Yeah, like right. So that's like
really
a
cool.
so that has some advancements. It's like a fully 3D world. Although, and you and Cameron might know this is not true, but I hear that on the 3DS, it is 3D when you're in battles. But when you're not in battles on the overworld, the 3D actually doesn't work on the 3DS.
I do not know if that is true or not. He didn't mention that
Right.
When he was showing it to me, but I mean, we were watching the movie at the same time, or something like that. So
Now, I guess that doesn't matter, really.
I didn't see the 3D in battle, but
Right.
I didn't wander around in the overworld.
Oh, right. I'm not saying that that's like the biggest deal in the world. I mean, I think that some of like the 3DS as a console has a little bit of a weird identity. It's a weird identity issue because they're not pushing that it's whatever game 3D, you know, anymore, because like no one's clamoring for 3D now. Like that like went out even faster than I anticipated, actually. So I mean, I'm actually a huge fan of that effect, and I think that it makes the games look better. Like everything looks active graphically.
You can't make a summer blockbuster anymore without 3D.
Right. Well, hey, there you go. Anyway, but that game seems really cool. Definitely seems like the new evolution. There's a new thing called Mega Evolution, so all the super extra nerdy Pokemasters can evolve their Charizards to a whole new evolution state of.
But it's only once per battle, and it doesn't last the entirety of the battle.
Okay, so that's exactly when I
like
saw that.
up.
Right, I saw that in a preview trailer, and it shows the Poke Trainer hold the wrist up.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's not evolving because that's happening in the battle.
Yeah.
That's an item. Yeah. I want him to evolve again. I want him to have
you just want it to be permanent. You don't like that it's a.
I don't have a problem with it. I think it's a welcome addition, but really what they're doing is like a roundabout way. And now maybe a Pokemaster could tell me I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But I think it's a roundabout way of getting around to like those, like they should really reward the Pokemon fans who have played forever, who have these Charizards from way back whenever date like 92 or whatever that Red came out. Like they need continually more evolutions. Like if they got more evolved each time, I just think that would be awesome instead of saying it just starts at 3. Because I mean, like in Black, they have a couple really, and White also, they have a couple really interesting things where like there's this one deer Pokemon and it like has 4 different transformations. Not that you evolve into, but like they're season based. So it's got antlers and like in spring it'll be blossoming, and you know. Really neat, so that's really cool. I like that idea more so than just like you have your. It's just the same, you know, evolution of that. Like you get Charizard all the way up to where he's just a Charizard or whatever, your max evolution. But yeah, that looks really good. I watched a really long like history of Pokemon thing on the, they send you videos of Nintendo Direct, it's called, on the Wii U, and you see, you know, all the stuff.
Don't mail you VHS.
No, they don't do that anymore. Although yeah, they used to do that. I got a VHS for Donkey Kong Country.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I totally still have it. Actually, I was going through some old VHS tapes the other day, and it's like Donkey Kong Country Unchained or Uncensored or something, and it's a VHS. And I was thinking about selling it. I was thinking about selling it on eBay. Certainly, some crazy fan is like
VHS fetishist out there. Love that.
They had really specific fetish, like I want promo video, Donkey Kong Country. I'm a game fan and I love VHS. But hey, that's out there for somebody. So yeah, there was a couple other things I want to say. Oh, okay. So we're getting back into games here, but it looks like this is going to be more movies and games than other stuff. So we played a demo today. Yes, we did. What was that?
Resident Evil 1 Revelations.
Part of that title is correct. The other part of that title is not correct. Yeah, so Resident Evil Revelations
1.
Okay. Yes. Okay, so this game was originally put out by Capcom for 3DS.
Wii U edition.
Yeah, so this is the Wii U. This is the demo, actually, of the Wii U edition, it's the same game, but they add gamepad features to it. And again, it's just the demo, but I think this is on 360 and PS3 as well.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, so Capcom is so nice to grace
Marketplace download.
Right. Okay. Let's see. So they put a exclusive Resident Evil on 3DS, and like, look, it's exclusive, and they made it. Okay, whatever. That's fine. Everybody gets to play the game.
It's only 3D on 3DS.
Well, I mean, that's true. I played the demo on 3DS, and
is it the same demo?
It's exactly the same.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no difference. I will say that actually the 3D effect in that game, I didn't feel like it was quite as good. Like the one issue with the 3D is that you're going to get some mild ghosting at the max 3D setting with the slider. It has to do with your eyes are too close to each other because you were born that way, fool, or whatever situation. Yeah, so I know it's trying to tell you you don't look so good. You know? But yeah, so I didn't find the 3D effect as good. There's a lot of ghosting, but some of that is it's dark. The settings are really dark, and so you're going to notice that. As to where in bright games, it's just not really there for my eyes, even at max setting. But that said, yeah, it was fun. So let's talk about that a little bit. It's only one section. Like the demo is pretty.
It's hard
brief.
to tell, really, because you only fight the one enemy.
Right, so yeah, they don't even tell you what that enemy is.
Yeah,
to my knowledge.
Slug creature.
Well, you were saying something similar in 6,
vampire
right?
Man.
Right.
Yeah, I played Resident Evil 6, and there's an enemy in that looks very similar. It's sort of a, I don't know, floppy-looking humanoid creature with a head that is mostly a really ill-defined mouth, kind of.
Yeah, kind of a Venom type of thing.
Yeah, and it's got a bunch of teeth in Revelations, but in 6 it didn't have any teeth, and so it was just this big gaping, massive, like circular-shaped gum that would stick your head inside, and it was effectively gross. But the cool thing about in 6 is when you shot them, they would break apart into their individual parts, and the hand would crawl at you, and then the torso would crawl at you, and then the legs would wobble at you.
Yeah, I didn't notice that when I played either versions of the demo on this.
Yeah, that didn't happen. They just...
That may be because it's a demo. I don't know if that's...
And maybe they do that later in the game, or
maybe
they don't, and there's just a different enemy that does something cool.
Right. So, graphics.
Oh, they looked really good. I don't have a Wii U, so the gamepad features are awesome to me. Having you can play the entire game just on the gamepad if you want to,
which is a really cool feature.
Yeah, because you can go into the bathroom and do it.
Right, like you always wanted to do your whole life.
Like you do. Yeah.
Right.
Really wanted to play Resident Evil and not have to shit my pants.
If that's possible, thank you. Okay, because I mean that's the game that does it. Yeah.
right.
Really no, but yeah.
Right.
So graphics, they're pretty good.
Yeah. I mean,
it looks like a Resident Evil game. It's maybe a little clean, like.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell it was on a handheld. Handheld first. On a handheld first.
Yeah, I mean, there's I think there's some up-resing of textures that happens, but yeah, generally, I think you can see that. But I mean, that said, like, Jill's model is totally serviceable.
Yeah.
Right. No, really not. I mean, they're not sexing.
She doesn't have a face.
We didn't see it. She may have. Okay, so yeah, her hair looks pretty cool. I mean, it looks good. It's good looking. I mean, I don't care about the highest fidelity graphics that exist. But of course, graphics are going to play into your immersion to some degree. But the location in this game is a derelict ship.
Which is very cool.
Which is a really cool location. Yeah. Probably the best, like, when you just hear about it, since... Like, it sounds even cooler than the locations for Resident Evil 4, although being in a castle certainly sounds cool to me.
Well, and 6 was like a globe-trotting adventure.
Right, yeah.
It was like a spy movie.
Right, I think it's hard, like, I mean, of course, I haven't played all those games, 5 and 6.
Sure, yeah. They're very different.
Yeah, so I think it's easy to kind of stick those aside.
And totally.
Even though...
It's just 6 is the only one I've played.
Right.
That's what I have to compare.
Yeah, so in that sense, it'll be well. And we have played together quite a fair shake of Resident Evil 4.
2/3 of it.
Yeah, you're at the end of this. You're 2/3. You're really right there.
Going through on the Wii edition.
Resident Evil 4 Wii edition. Yeah, so we got a running joke, and we say it too many times probably.
Yep.
But yeah, so we have to talk about that a little bit. But let's try to stay on Revelations real quick.
Sure, yeah.
So you basically go through the demo. You have a handgun and a knife. The knife actually works really fast. I think is actually a pretty good version of the knife. The controls, to me, when I played it, seemed... I mean, I had to get used to them, but we were talking about that a little bit. They seemed fine to me.
I concur.
I think there's a little bit of weirdness in the turning. Like, strafing feels a little bit... It was a little hard for me to get.
And it takes a second to turn, change directions when you're going in one direction, which... Again, we were talking about how it could add to the suspense of it, just not having that direct control over the character.
Right, and time spent doing things when you're under pressure.
Yeah, but really that comes into play when you're playing the entire game, and you see how it affects the actual full product.
Right, yeah, I definitely agree with that.